Hello, everyone. Welcome back for part 2 with Christine, mother of 4, and Kimberlee, mother of 5, who run a backyard swim program. Just to recap a little bit of what we discussed in part 1, this family, they're a huge swimming family. They have a background in swimming and teaching and lifeguarding. And Christine was looking for better swim instruction for her kiddos. And so that's when she decided to go to the YMCA, get recertified, and start teaching there. And the other moms loved what she was doing. She was doing a great job, and they were requesting her. And then I think all of this kind of snowballed into a great grand plan in her head to start her own swim program in the backyard. And so that's what she did. And they talked a little bit about how they were able to make that work, being full-time moms, and how it really has turned into a good experience for everyone involved. And they even have a fun little baked goods treat center where the swimmers and the moms can come and buy some treats while they're doing the swim lessons. And there's just a lot of great things going on that makes this very successful. Not to mention they just offer really good product. So that's always very helpful. So when we left off yesterday, Christine and Kimberlee were sharing some of the startup of investments and steps just to get going. And we talked about, of course, pool is something that's very necessary in order to move forward with this. And understanding the legalities, having a home swim business, what is allowed, what's not allowed. Are there permits that need to be obtained, and just checking with attorneys and just making sure that everything is there that needs to be there in order to legally move forward with this process, including insurance. And of course, some of the neighborhoods now have some really aggressive HOAs and restrictions. And so just making sure that's even possible depending upon where in the United States you live. So you can help me. If I did a bad job, you can make that sound better, but kind of that's where we left off. So what are we still missing in this startup investments / steps to get going?
Well, first of all, I think you did a beautiful job of recapping all of that. I think that was perfectly said. We have a visitor. Washing hands is very important. So I believe that anybody who wants to do a backyard startup program, it can be done. First thing that you'd need, of course, like you said, is to have a pool, but also, I had a girlfriend who moved into a house that had a pool to start up a program, and she didn't check and with the city ordinances. She moved into the city of Boise and was not able to do it. So like I said, Ada County is different than the city of Boise, the city of Meridian. And I did do all those things that you talked about. I visited with attorneys on a couple of different occasions. I searched for permits, for licensing, for anything that I could do to make it legal. And I was not actually ever able to make that happen until about 5 years ago. So that is what was involved with me. I do not have an LLC, but I do have a really good swimming instructor's liability insurance plan that I've had for 30 years, and am grateful every year for our insurance company when they renew our policy for us. So we feel as protected as we can be, but it's incredibly important to us every single day to make safety a priority in our backyard so that people are not injured.
And I would add to that Steve and I actually did speak to an attorney recently and asked again about the LLC, and he advised us against it and said that good homeowners insurance and our extra insurance that we have for the swimming pool is really the best thing that you can do. And the other thing I would add about the legalities of everything is that if you want to teach swim lessons, that I think you can find a way. If you're determined, you can find a way. Maybe you need to rent out somebody's pool who does live in an HOA who allows it. Maybe you just do private swim lessons so that you're not bringing in too many people at a time. I think if you're determined that there's always a way to make it happen, and to don't let those little things stop you.
So I couldn't agree with that statement more. And I actually did have 2 or 3 different friends who rented their pools out to me. And I started there first, and that's kind of how my clientele built up. Plus, a lot of the people from the YMCA followed me, as well as my friends and neighbors.
That's great. I love that. So, if you are going to start your own business and do it in your backyard, is a swimming certification or teaching certification absolutely required, or is there CPR certifications required? What is required, not required, but obviously highly advised? You want to be a phenomenal swimmer and be very confident in your abilities to help others.
Of course, it's highly advised. And I went back and I got my water safety instruction. And I knew a lot about water safety, and I knew a lot about strokes. And I didn't know the first thing about how to teach people how to teach. So when Boise State hired me and I got on down there, I knew I wanted to be a good swimming instructor, but I didn't know how to go about doing that. And I was very upfront with the manager. I told her that. She said, "I'll teach you how to do this." At BSU, it was 50 minutes on, 10 minutes off. And so I would go out there and do what she told me to do. And in the 10 minutes off, I would come into the office and I would say, "I did this, this worked, this didn't work." And she would tell me to go out and do this, try this that doesn't work, until I finally got it in my head how it works. And although the Red Cross is a good program, I feel like we developed a program that went even better than the Red Cross and was able to hone in more individually than to groups. And of course, you would want your CPR training, but there again, it is not required. So we have our instructors go through the water safety course. I believe your girls have been through that. It's kind of a stepping stone to lifeguard training. And they're required to do hours of, not only most of my swim instructors have been through my program, but hours of observing. And we work with them very strongly to develop good teachers. It takes a couple years to become a good teacher, and about the time they become really, really good, they move on in life. But we're always looking for instructors in our program. We're looking for 3 things. We're looking for people who like to swim, people who are responsible, and people who can work with children. And I will tell you that in the 25 years we've been doing swimming, we've only had 1 male instructor. But we'd certainly welcome more.
That's perfect. So, Christine, are you officially retired from the swimming business, or are you still helping with the development of the swim teachers? And where's Kimberlee's? Kimberlee's, for the most part, taking over now. How was that transition for you? How are things going there?
I'll answer some of this, and then Kimberlee answered the rest. I didn't know when I would be ready to step out, but yes, I am 100% out, and I am 100% helping Kimberlee wherever she needs me to. It's my philosophy as best I can to step out and let her do things her way, and then I'm always there to pick up the pieces. She's got very active girls, and they're as active in the summer as everybody else is. But I have complete confidence in her, and so do the parents. And it was a couple years transitioning. And maybe one of the best things that helped was that we moved to the Philippines for 1.5 years, and we were gone. So she had to figure it out on her own, and she did.
She did great.
So it's definitely a transition. This is something that I've always wanted to do, even though I never thought I'd move back to Idaho and take over this program. I thought I would do my own. And so moving back here was a huge blessing, because I could basically take over all the hard work that she's done and didn't have to go through the growing pains of starting my own business. And so it's a huge blessing to be able to just take it over. But it was a transition to where the first couple of summers, I got my own couple of hours during the day where I would come over and bring my kids, and my kids would sit on the grass and wait for me while I oversaw my 4 different classes, and I was in charge of those 4 classes. And then we just grew from there, from 2 hours to 4 hours, to then they left for the Philippines. And by then I had taken over some of the signups and the emailing and dealing with some of the talking to the parents. So I felt confident in going from 2 to 4 hours to the whole swim day and the signups. So I think it was really helpful to transition into that, and knowing that it's really just already a well-oiled machine, and trying to, I mean, obviously I have my own personality and preferences, but knowing that it's worked well for this long, so try to keep it going how it was.
So has it worked well for you to transition into teaching the other swim instructors the same way your mom taught you? Have you just been very consistent, or have you found another way of kind of expressing yourself and teaching that is going just as well for you?
I would say I mostly have taken over the methods that she used, and then obviously my own personality and preferences and things that I notice come through. But I definitely follow the same pattern of, um, as far as teaching, like as far as training the students and training our new teachers, where I just pay attention to the kids who have gone through our program, notice who's really eager, bring them over to observe, watch them, and see how eager they are and how well they fit into our program, and then stay next to them by the pool and slowly train them up until they feel confident.
Perfect. So, what would you recommend? Because we could have teens watching this from anywhere in the country, so they could be anywhere. And someone who maybe is on a swim team now, or is lifeguarding now, or is just really passionate about swimming, and they think, man, this could be great. This could be something that would allow me to be the mom that I want to be when I grow up and I'm married, and still provide some income and some creative outlet, just make me a happy person. What are the steps that they need to prepare themselves as a teen to move forward?
You ask such great questions. We would love to see the country filled with more competent swimming instructors. So first of all, we would be willing to speak with anybody over the phone or through email or whatever. We have allowed people to come into our backyard, and we have shown them our teaching techniques that don't come to our program. This community is big enough for lots of swim programs, and so we're not threatened by that in any way. We welcome it. And there again, it goes back to, they need to be good swimmers. They need to go through, and I mean, what we teach over here is recreational swimming for life. Swim team is a completely different sport, but of course the two can go together. And then just observation. You can still take the Red Cross water safety course and the lifeguard training course. I mean, I would recommend those. But just like Jenny was saying in her interview, if I were to go one step further, it would be a class to put together to teach people how to teach. And I had thought about that for years, but there was just only so much time and energy that I had. So, but we would certainly welcome and be willing to help any young girl, and we would love to see backyard swimming programs be able to continue for years to come throughout the country.
Yeah, I think that's great. And that's honestly something you guys could do remotely or online too. There's so many opportunities to kind of think that through and do that. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, Kimberlee?
Yeah, I was just gonna say for kids who don't live here, or for other options, just to perhaps start off teaching in a program. Find a program, learn how to teach swim lessons, take what you like, don't do the things you don't like, and then by that point you could feel confident enough to, if you've got access to a swimming pool, start inviting some swimmers over and experimenting with teaching some lessons to community kids and build it from there.
It just reminds me when she's saying that, we have a swimming instructor who went down to BYU, and she wanted a part-time job as a swimming instructor because she had done that here. And they were so impressed with her teaching methods that they asked her to rechange their whole program to what she was teaching. So that was a huge thing, and she was very passionate about it. So she could go in and start teaching other people, and having the teachers be successful, as well as having children come out knowing their skills.
And what a huge compliment to you guys for that. That is so exciting and so wonderful. You really are making a huge difference, and I'm sure it feels amazing to know that you're helping all of those people around the community just be safer and love to swim and be able to enjoy a sport that will help them be healthy throughout their lives. So that's a huge accomplishment, and I think that's fantastic. And I think it's true. We've got to get these girls in, and they've got to test out this teaching to see if that's something that they would like. Maybe they'll spend a summer teaching and it'll be a long day out in the sun, and they'll think, man, I'm not sure that this is really what I thought it was going to be, and maybe this is not a good fit. Or someone like some of your best instructors will just like love it and just think, this is it. I love this. I'm changing people. I'm helping people. This is exactly what I could see myself doing in the future.
So that is so correct. I had a conversation with a girlfriend yesterday, and we talked about those very things. Some of my very best instructors started out as completely shy. You wouldn't think they could do anything. And others of them started out as go-getters, and when they got in the water, it was just too much for them. So we were able to weed through that. But I will tell you that for so many of my swimming instructors, the skills that they used over here, learning to deal with sometimes, but not very often, challenging parents, much more often challenging children. And both my daughters, Kimberlee and Lauren, worked at Roaring Springs. They were able to take those skills in managing families out at Roaring Springs. And then Lauren went on to become a cosmetologist, and she worked in her specialty is in children. And it's very difficult to cut children's hair. And she used so many of the skills that she learned teaching swim lessons, and now she cuts hair out of her home. So she was able to, she doesn't have a swimming pool where she lives in Texas, but she's cutting hair using the same skills that she learned from backyard swimming lessons.
That's so amazing. That's so exciting and awesome. Anything else that you want to add, Kimberlee or Christine, before we end our call today?
I'd like to say something and then let Kimberlee finish up. Three things come to my mind. One thing that we didn't mention is my granddaughter, Brooklyn, is teaching and taking over some of the managerial positions out there. So we're 4 generations over here. The second thing is just to always be grateful for and thank the wonderful families who have supported our program. And we couldn't pitch if there wasn't somebody to bat back to us. And the third thing is, one of my biggest dreams is that the children who spent so much time in our backyard will remember that in their adult life, that we offered a backyard full of teaching skills and bake sale and giving them confidence, and that they'll have that memory, and then of course take their swimming skills into their adult life.
A couple things that I would add is, as girls are trying to figure out what it is they want to do, how they want to contribute to society and earn money doing something that they love, is just that it's so important to find something that they're passionate about and that they love, and that they might test the waters a little bit doing that. And a couple things that have made this program really successful is that our family and our instructors are passionate about swimming and take pride in our swimming strokes and in the way that our swimmers